Con patatas, chorizo y vino se anda el camino, which means with potatoes, chorizo, and wine, you can make your way through the day. And this is what we're going to make today. We're going to make a Spanish tapas from Rioja, and it's so easy, so delicious, so traditional. It has everything that Spanish dish should have. Here's our ingredients. I have onions, which I have sliced lengthwise, red bell pepper, and cherry tomatoes. I have picked the yellow and the red ones because they look like the Spanish flag. So let's get started with the chorizo. Now, this is the chorizo that I made the other day, and because I knew that I was going to make this dish, I let them resting in olive oil with some smoked paprika or some pimenton. They're a little bit different. We'll talk about that as we go along. And we're going to cut them at an angle like that. Yes, they will stain your board, but if you clean it right away, they won't stain. The chorizos are properly cut, and now we're going to move and go ahead to actually make this delicious Spanish tapa. Now we're going to fry a little bit of the chorizo. Here we add a little bit of oil and a little bit of pimenton. And then we're going to add the seitan chorizo. When you cook with the cast iron pans, although it takes a long time to heat, it keeps the heat for a long time, and it cooks the food more uniformly. Right. Once you see that you achieved the brown color on the bottom, you flip them, and once both sides are browned, we are going to set it aside and move on to the vegetables. So always secure your handle here because it tends to be really, really hot because the cast iron pan is because it was made with one single cast of iron, so everything heats equally. Now let's take a moment and talk about cooking with seitan. One of the reasons why I wanted to make this video is because I love seitan. I know you're going to make fun of my accent and say that I love Satan, but I can't do much about that. So because I love it and cooking with it, I have made a lot of stews, and sometimes at the end the taste is not so good because I made the most amazing bourguignon, like a seitan beef bourguignon, and at the end everything tastes only like seitan. And we mistakenly think that if we add the seitan to the stews or to the liquid where you're cooking your food, it will absorb the taste from your sauce. But what happens actually is the opposite. The seitan will release all its flavor to the stew, and you're done. Now, what you do when you cook with seitan? You sear your seitan first, okay? Sear it first and make the rest of your sauce or stew just the way you would without the seitan. And at the end, we incorporate everything together. This, my friends, is groundbreaking news because your stew is not going to taste like that seitan, that gluten flour tastes sometimes. Very good tip. All right, so now let's start with our stew. So olive oil, yes. I'm going to teach you how to cook with olive oil, and it's all about heat control because olive oil is so delicate. It has such amazing, wonderful, delicate flavors, and you don't want to ruin it by cooking it. So, and then you add the onions and the red peppers. Medium heat, you stir it. Now, we're going to add a little bit of salt, and because the cast iron pan, like I said, it retains the heat very well. Now we're going to cover it because I want the steam go through the whole food and then heat the bottom and then heat the top again, and this way it's going to cook, and then you don't need that much high flame for these to cook and brown. And cover. Three minutes later, time to add the garlic. A lot of garlic. I have 5 cloves here. Now we add the tomatoes. You can have them if you want. I did it with some. 2 bay leaves and 2 dried chilies. And now we're going to add sweet pimenton. And sweet pimenton is different than a paprika because sweet pimenton is smoke dry, whereas paprika is sun dry. There's a little bit of a difference. And now tomato puree. Stir it a little bit so everything gets mixed through and incorporated. Now we are going to add the potatoes. And the way that I'm going to cut the potatoes here is very interesting. I'm going to cut halfway through into chunks and pull it apart. And those ridges, they have a lot of starch. And this starch is very important to thicken the sauce. There you go. Some water. I want the water to cover 90% of the potatoes, not completely, because we're going to cover this. And like I said before, the steam and the water, they're going to create a perfect environment for this to cook. And let's let it cook for 30-35 minutes, depending on how big your potatoes are, or until the potatoes are soft. Now, 5 minutes or 10 minutes before you turn off the heat, you add the spinach. Add it by breaking the leaves. It doesn't have to be so small. They will shrink anyway. You know how it is to cook with spinach. You start with a lot and you end up with like microscopic amounts. No need to stir. Just cover it back. And the potatoes are almost ready. I just checked. In 5 minutes, we're going to have the most amazing Spanish tapa, Spanish stew, and so easily made, isn't it? Now, already, before serving, we're going to add a little bit of sherry wine vinegar, just a few drops here and there. And I forgot to deglaze the pan with wine, but nothing's gonna stop me from adding a little bit now. Just 1-2 tablespoons. And the heat from the pan is going to make the wine evaporate, so you're not gonna be left with any alcohol at all, but flavors. That's what matters. Now, my loves, we're going to add the chorizo. And this is it. Smells so nice. The potatoes are cooked. Some, because I cut in the different sizes, some are very soft and falling apart, and some are a little bit firmer, but all, of course, very well cooked. And let me try this out with a slice of bread. Look at that. This is going to be interesting. Hot. Oh, I love it. Oh my God. This is such an explosion of flavors. Oh my God, so good. You have to make this. Promise me you're going to make it. It's so delicious. So fantastic. There's some heat from the chilies, but just a little note, not so much. And there's a lot of boldness and a lot of things going on. I understand. This is very Spanish. This is Spanish people. They are bold and they are honest, and they are, I don't know what to say about this dish. I love it. I love it. Guys, make it. Thank you so much for watching. Follow me on my blog too. I just redesigned it and started adding a lot of different recipes that I don't make here on the channel. Will eventually, but there's a lot of things going on there. And I talk a lot about veganism and doubts that people have, so I think it's worth having a look. And follow me on Instagram. If you ever make my recipes, tag me on Instagram and Facebook. I love when you guys do that. And this is it. Be kind to each other, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye. This is not polite, but I will do it anyway. Oh my god, I forgot the wine. Oh well, it happens. Never apologize.